Good morning and thank you for joining us for today's edition of Business Express 981. You're live on Smooth 98.1, Love Music, Love Life. Joining Rotus now. Rotus, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Valentine. Good morning to all our listeners, viewers out there. Great to be here with you all again.
Fantastic. Let's go on to YouTube now. We're streaming live on YouTube, so you can leave a comment on that platform. You can also watch and share. You can do the same thing on WhatsApp besides the watching parts, but you can send a message to 0809-444-0981. Rotus.
Yeah, so I'm going over some figures here from the Center for Social Justice. They are an organization that has been pushing fiscal discipline for Nigeria for quite a while. Their lead director, Eze Onyekpere, put forward an analysis of the 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework, which is supposed to be a structure for our budgets and so on. And it shows that Nigeria spent about 11.6 trillion naira on debt servicing between 2015 and 2019. During that same period, capital expenditure and development, we spent 8.3 trillion naira. So there's a deficit of about 3 trillion or so between what was spent on capital expenditure and what's been spent on debt servicing. And so, I mean, he's laying out numbers that we already have, but I mean, it's good to remind Nigerians of exactly what debt servicing is costing the country. And, you know, if you look at our public debt stock, I think he took those numbers from the Debt Management Office. And anybody who's interested, just go to, I think it's dmo.ng. That's the Debt Management Office if you want to look. Public debt stock, 12.6 trillion naira 2015, 17 trillion naira 2016, 21 trillion naira 2017, 24 trillion 2018, 27 trillion 2019, 32 trillion 2020. So the public debt stock has continued to climb. Now look, anyone who's wondering why these numbers climbing, we've unfortunately had two bad recessions between 2015 and 2020. Oil price crash that happened then, which accounts for majority of our revenue and majority of our foreign exchange. So we had to borrow, right? And then COVID happened again, and there's more borrowing planned down the line. However, he did point out one thing, and I think I've also mentioned this as well. Nigeria's personnel costs, I believe, where is this thing? As a percentage of total personnel costs versus, I think it's versus revenues, they continue to rise, you know, and they're essentially saying that the size of government, I think it's something in the range of 60-something%. Personnel costs are high, right? And so we've talked about the size of government and how it needs to be reduced. But the problem is that the federal government is, well, a large employer of labor, right? Unfortunately, whether that labor is productive is a different story. But Nigeria's personnel costs up. I think personnel costs was almost as much as in the budget. It was almost as much as capital expenditure in our 2021 budget. And I think it's going to be the same thing for 2020. Yeah, here it is. I found it. The high level personnel costs as a component of recurrent non-debt expenditure, 66.4% in 2021, 68% in 2022, 67.9% in 2023, and 67.9% in 2024. You need to think about what that is. Almost 70% of your recurrent expenditure is going to personnel costs. That is salaries and so on. Personnel.
Yeah.
70% of your recurrent.
You know what? While you were talking here, I was just thinking, okay, so when we travel abroad and see how government is run in other climes, don't we ask questions about, you know, how they are look at the new ways that they are employing to save costs in terms of, especially personnel costs. You find that countries are adapting to using robots using automated systems to reduce personnel costs. You know, so
Yeah,
why isn't that something we can employ here? But you still find people pushing for manual operations.
This is the flip side. Nigeria really isn't, to be fair, we're not unique here. I mean, other countries we're not the only country in the world with a high bloated government that needs to
But if we still call ourselves the giants of Africa.
You see, and that's the flip side. That is the flip side of being the giant of Africa. You're too big. You've got too many departments of agencies. You've got too many departments that are doing this and that. You've got this bloated government with the 6 geopolitical zones divided up. You're creating more states. You've got a lot. This is the flip side of a large population. When you say Nigeria's population is a potential for sales and for businesses that want to come here, and then human capital development and what it means for a productive labor force. Yeah, that's good. But the flip side of that giant of Africa is you've got a giant government and a giant public, personnel cost. So they do. And look, and Buhari did say that he was going to merge these ministries, departments, and agencies when he came into office. He tried to do it. I remember there was some news that he reduced some of them, but there's still cost is still high because these personnel costs are just. But the thing is this. It's easy to complain about these costs. Are you going to fire everybody? Look at what El Rufai has been doing.
Exactly.
Teachers and public. Look at the fire he has received from Trump actually firing those people. So you can't just fire them. You probably have to look at where unemployment is. I mean, you can argue that unemployment, the official figure is 33%. It could be 40 or more, right? If you get rid of all those people, for everybody, it's always easy. I can send it on a WhatsApp and I can sit on radio here and say, fire all of them. Well, where do they go, right? And you have to train them, right? Retrain them costs money. So look, it's a really, it's a tough situation.
It's difficult because most people, I mean, do we have social security? What will people depend on if they're out of a job? And productivity is really low because largely there are no incentives, corruption there, here and there. So people are less willing to do the actual work and just want to cut corners. Daniel sent in this message, says, if these borrowings are going into capital expenditure, why then is this reflecting in economic growth? Benga Kamo says, why is the Naira falling helplessly against the dollar? Is it just a matter of not being productive? Of these dollar debts, how much is owed by states? Because I feel governors who borrow money don't use it for the intended purposes. And here we are. And he adds, Rotus, don't break my head with figures this morning. Add more context to it. What could the money for debt have done for the country? That's a real question. Onel Chuko says, as analysis said, borrowing is good. But if they channel this money to projects that will make impact on the lives of average Nigerians, for instance, housing projects, it will create employee opportunity. Michael Ndidi says, please, in your opinion, this dollar increase at the parallel markets, will it increase soon, like in a month or two? Sounds to me like somebody who wants to save dollars.
It's already been increasing. We already talked about it yesterday now.
Yeah, I heard it increased.
545.
Yeah, parallel markets. That's scary.
Yeah. Right. So it is increasing. So yeah, look, there was something Benga mentioned. There's another story in Nairametrics here it is. Companies spent over 55 billion on foreign professional services in 10 years. So what Nairametrics has been doing, they've been going over the central bank's balance of payments. Remember, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that they looked at how much money Nigerians had spent in the last 10 years on foreign education. That was $28 billion, $28 billion or so over the last 10 years. If you look at, because CBN right now is saying go to your bank for PTA, BTA, education, medical services. So all these things are tracked as to how much Nigerians are demanding Forex. So look at this one now, $55 billion on foreign professional services over the last 10 years. So for Benga mentioning why the dollar keeps going up, I mean, there's just so much demand for foreign education, foreign medical service, foreign professional service. This is for engineers, experts, companies that. The flip side is that, well, we have such a large youth population. Do we not have the expertise here? Can we not develop it? That's the other side. But
then look at our education. How many people are qualified? And people that are qualified, are they here?
Exactly. I mean, look at what happened with the doctors that went to South for what's it called, to find a better future for themselves.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself, as we talk about all these things, the Ministry of, is it Labor and what is it now?
Productivity.
Ministry. Where have we talked about this ministry in the last month or so? What does that ministry do exactly? Right?
Collect money, salaries, personnel costs.
Yeah.
Down the drain.
These are the type of conversations that the Ministry of Labor, I think it's Ministry of Labor and Employment. The Ministry of Labor and Employment, this is what Chris Ngige's ministry is supposed to be doing. This is your portfolio.
Yeah, but he's busy. He's busy. Cut him some slack. He's busy settling doctor strike and ASU mediating between federal government.
So you see, Val, when we now talk, this is when this is why I'm caught in two minds. On one hand, I say don't fire all these people, but then on the other hand, it's like, okay, what are you doing? Well, this is the situation we have. We're spending billions on professional services. Unemployment is high. What is your ministry doing? What ideas are you putting forward to reduce these numbers? And that's why you want to now fire everybody then, because it's like, what are you doing? So most of this money is paying salaries. That's all this money is going.
I'm busy putting out fires. Let's take messages. There are more messages here on WhatsApp. Yinka Bolo says, guys, last Sunday in church, one of the pastors asked what we pray for nations in the world. This time around, France. In my mind, I hope God forgives me but I was like, is this guy all right? Pray for France when we should be conducting deliverance for Nigeria. And he adds, on that dollar demand, remember that round-tripping story I told you yesterday? They need to ban FX for education and even for health. And then Dele from Aja says, federal and state governments should cut down personnel costs, use the funds gained to train people out of the country, people off the country, states, and invest in economy. Well, I don't think that amounts, however, whatever it comes to, I don't think it'll be enough to, fund these lofty ideals that we have. But Matthew Afolabi says, but don't you think we also have a lot of ghost government workers? Many of those offices need to be audited. We have a lot of redundant workers. And I beg, that's giant something, a scam, Jerry. Dele from Ajaz says, infrastructures and people developments will pay back to the governments. Okay. Says, we should borrow for human capital development, quality education, create entrepreneurship. Thank you, Onelchukwu, for that message. True.
Very true. But
we have time for one more story.
Okay, I want to actually take this next one tomorrow. School fees. Should we take it tomorrow?
I guess yes, we should.
Because
I don't want to be depressed this morning.
Exactly.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me. Schools have resumed yesterday, so parents are grappling with the bills.
So with the bills,
we've received nice letters from the schools reminding us that we need to pay these bills before school starts.
Chaval, I think about school fees so much.
Anyway, my goodness.
You guys always sending texts about school. So we'll get into that tomorrow. The Nairametrics has another interesting story on how people are reacting to school fees. So we'll get into that one tomorrow. It's September, man. It's time for bills, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, and it's already the 14th. Thank you, Rotus.
Thank you, Val. Thanks for all the messages.